John D. Rockefeller pulled out a worn leather notebook and placed it on the table. "This contains every penny I ever earned or spent since I was 16, he said quietly. "Most entrepreneurs chase opportunities. I created mathematical certainties." His eyes reflected decades of calculated decisions. Standard Oil wasn't built on luck or innovation. It was built on numbers, efficiency, and the relentless pursuit of reducing waste to zero. That's how I became the world's first billionaire. Tonight, I'm having dinner with John D. Rockefeller, the man who defined what it means to build a business empire and became the wealthiest individual in modern history. We're at an elegant restaurant that reflects the Gilded Age prosperity he helped create, and he's about to share the systematic approach that transformed him from a bookkeeper's assistant into the architect of American capitalism. "Let me show you exactly how I think about wealth differently than other men," Rockefeller began, opening his meticulously maintained ledger with the same care he applied to every business decision. July 7th, 1855, age 16, first job at Hewitt & Tuttle Commission Merchants, salary $3.57 per week. I recorded every cent. He turned the pages slowly, each entry written in precise handwriting that hadn't changed in decades. Most young men would spend their first wages on pleasures or trinkets. I calculated exactly how much I needed for basic survival and saved the remainder. By my 18th birthday, I had accumulated $800, enough to start my own business. That discipline became the foundation for everything that followed. The key insight was understanding that wealth isn't about making money. It's about systematically retaining money while making it work harder than you do. Every dollar saved is a dollar that can be invested to generate additional dollars without additional labor. Rockefeller's voice carried the same methodical precision that made him unstoppable in business. 1859. Colonel Drake struck oil in Pennsylvania. Every man in America saw opportunity. They rushed to Pennsylvania with dreams of quick riches. Most failed because they were thinking like prospectors, not like businessmen. I studied the oil industry for 2 years before making my first investment. Drilling was risky, unpredictable, dependent on luck. But refining, turning crude oil into useful products, that was a manufacturing process that could be controlled, optimized, systematized. 1863. I entered the oil business not as a wildcatter searching for oil, but as a refiner processing oil into kerosene, gasoline, and lubricants. While others gambled on finding oil, I built certainty around processing oil that others found. The first course arrived, and Rockefeller approached his meal with the same systematic method he applied to business, every action deliberate and efficient. The mathematics of oil refining revealed everything. Each barrel of crude oil produced specific quantities of different products. Processing costs could be calculated precisely. Transportation expenses were predictable. Market demand followed seasonal patterns. I could forecast profits with mathematical accuracy. 1865. Partnership with Maurice Clark dissolved because he couldn't understand systematic thinking. Clark saw oil as speculation. I saw oil as engineering problem with calculable solutions. We agreed to auction our business, and I paid $72,500 to buy him out, every cent I could borrow. That decision taught me the most important business lesson. When you have mathematical certainty on your side, bet everything. Half measures produce half results. Total commitment to proven systems produces exponential results. 1870, Standard Oil Company Incorporated. But this wasn't just an oil company. It was a systematic approach to controlling an entire industry through efficiency, integration, and strategic partnerships. Rockefeller pulled out a hand-drawn diagram from his notebook, a complex network showing the oil industry's complete supply chain. Most businesses think linearly, buy raw materials, process them, sell finished products. I thought systematically. Control every stage from extraction to retail, eliminate all inefficiencies, and pass those savings to customers while maintaining higher profits. We built our own pipelines instead of paying railroad companies. We manufactured our own barrels instead of buying them from cooperatives. We created our own distribution networks instead of relying on independent merchants. Vertical integration eliminated middleman profits and gave us cost advantages no competitor could match. The efficiency gains were extraordinary. While competitors paid $2.50 per barrel for transportation, our integrated systems reduced our costs to 40 cents per barrel. That $2.10 advantage per barrel meant we could sell kerosene cheaper than competitors while making higher profits. But the real breakthrough was understanding economies of scale. One large refinery operating at capacity was more efficient than 10 small refineries operating partially. Bigger wasn't just better, it was mathematically superior. Rockefeller's strategic thinking extended far beyond simple cost reduction. 1872, the South Improvement Company Plan. Railroad companies offered us secret rebates for shipping large volumes, but they also paid us rebates on our competitors' shipments. Every barrel our competitors shipped actually made us money. Critics called this unfair, but it was simply logical. Railroads wanted predictable, high-volume customers. We provided that predictability in exchange for economic advantages. Business isn't about fairness. It's about creating systematic advantages that compound over time. The consolidation strategy emerged from this economic logic. Instead of destroying competitors, we offered them partnerships, sell to Standard Oil at fair prices, or compete against our systematic advantages until bankruptcy forced unfavorable sales. Most competitors chose partnership. They retained management positions, received Standard Oil stock, and participated in our growth. We gained their refineries, their customer relationships, and their local expertise. Win-win arrangements that build empire rather than enemies. The main course reflected the era's abundance, rich, substantial fare that mirrored the prosperity of America's industrial expansion. By 1880, Standard Oil controlled 90% of America's oil refining capacity. People called this monopoly, but monopoly suggests artificial scarcity. We achieved market dominance through superior efficiency that benefited consumers with lower prices and better products. Our systematic approach reduced kerosene prices from 58 cents per gallon in 1865 to 8 cents per gallon in 1885. We didn't exploit consumers. We made energy affordable for ordinary families while generating unprecedented profits through volume and efficiency. The wealth accumulation was simply mathematical consequence. When you control 90% of an essential industry and operate that industry more efficiently than anyone thought possible, profits become astronomical. 1901. I became the world's first billionaire when Standard Oil was valued at over $1 billion. But this wasn't sudden fortune. It was the inevitable result of 40 years of systematic wealth building, compounded annually through retained earnings and reinvestment. The key insight that most people miss: I didn't become wealthy by making one brilliant decision. I became wealthy by making thousands of slightly better decisions that compounded over decades. Small advantages, systematically applied, create enormous results over time. Rockefeller paused to consider the broader implications of his systematic approach. People ask how I maintained focus during 40 years of business building. The answer is that I never thought about becoming rich. I thought about becoming more efficient. Wealth was a byproduct of systematically eliminating waste and optimizing processes. Every business decision was filtered through simple questions. Does this increase efficiency? Does this reduce waste? Does this strengthen our systematic advantages? If yes, proceed. If no, eliminate. Emotion never entered business calculations. The Standard Oil Trust structure pioneered corporate organization that influenced business development worldwide. Instead of one large company, we created a holding company that controlled multiple operating companies across different regions and functions. This structure provided legal advantages, operational flexibility, and risk distribution while maintaining centralized strategic control. We invented modern corporate architecture that enabled systematic management of complex business operations. But the real innovation was applying scientific management principles to business operations before scientific management existed. Every process was studied, measured, optimized, and standardized. We eliminated guesswork through data collection and analysis. Our refineries maintained detailed records of processing costs, efficiency rates, product yields, and quality measurements. This data guided continuous improvement efforts that maintained our competitive advantages even as technology and markets evolved. As dinner progressed, Rockefeller reflected on the responsibilities that accompanied unprecedented wealth. 1891. I began systematic philanthropy, eventually giving away over $540 million, more than half my fortune. But this wasn't charity. It was strategic investment in human capital and social infrastructure. The University of Chicago, Rockefeller Institute for Medical Research, General Education Board, these institutions addressed systematic problems in education, healthcare, and scientific research that government and existing institutions couldn't solve effectively. Systematic giving produces better results than random charity. I studied social problems the same way I studied business problems. Identify root causes, design systematic solutions, measure results, scale successful approaches. The Rockefeller Foundation pioneered scientific philanthropy that influenced how wealth addresses social challenges. Strategic giving can solve problems permanently rather than just providing temporary relief. Education investments were particularly important because they addressed fundamental economic limitations. Educated populations create more economic value, which benefits everyone through increased prosperity and reduced social problems. Medical research investments followed similar logic. Diseases impose systematic costs on society through reduced productivity, healthcare expenses, and human suffering. Systematic research produces systematic solutions that eliminate those costs permanently. Rockefeller's notebook contained detailed records of his philanthropic activities alongside his business transactions. The giving was as carefully planned as the earning. Each donation was designed to leverage additional resources from other donors, create permanent institutions, and generate ongoing benefits that would compound over time. Just as I built business empire through systematic advantage accumulation, I addressed social problems through systematic solution development. The same principles that created wealth could direct that wealth toward maximum social benefit. The key insight was understanding that extreme wealth brings extreme responsibility. Society provided the framework that enabled my success: educated workers, legal systems, transportation infrastructure, market institutions. Giving back wasn't moral obligation, it was practical necessity for maintaining social systems that enable business success. As dinner concluded, Rockefeller summarized his philosophy of systematic empire building. People study my business methods and miss the fundamental principle. Everything I accomplished came from understanding that systematic thinking beats brilliant thinking. Consistency over time produces better results than intermittent excellence. The ledger represents this philosophy perfectly. 45 years of recording every transaction created perfect understanding of money flows, spending patterns, and investment results. You cannot optimize what you do not measure. Young entrepreneurs today seek quick wealth through innovation or disruption. But sustainable wealth comes from systematic execution of proven principles: reduce waste, increase efficiency, control distribution, scale advantages, compound results over time. Standard Oil became inevitable not because we were smarter than competitors, but because we were more systematic than competitors. Intelligence without system produces random results. System without intelligence produces predictable mediocrity. Intelligence plus system produces mathematical certainty. The secret to becoming the world's first billionaire wasn't vision or luck or innovation. It was understanding that wealth accumulation follows mathematical laws, and those laws reward systematic behavior more than any other factor. This evening with John D. Rockefeller revealed that the foundation of all great wealth isn't genius or timing or opportunity. It's the systematic application of mathematical principles to human economic activity, maintained consistently over decades until small advantages compound into insurmountable empires. Don't forget to subscribe and check out the other videos to hear the most private dinner conversations where billionaires reveal their deepest secrets. Which part inspired you the most? Drop it in the comments. Let's figure out how to become billionaires together.